Okay. My wipers don't work. Yeah, okay. Actually, they're not that difficult. Some a little more complicated than others. I've got in a Ford Ranger. Again, it's kind of my go-to car. Uh, and the system is fairly simple. If you look at it, here's the motor right here, and we go and look at the white and the dark blue and orange. These are my B pluses in, and it's just got a black output, black ground right here. So I can test this pretty simply. By just using a meter and hooking it up. Here, I'll show you. So here's my setup. I'm just tagged into ground, black line, and then the white line, it should be low speed, positive, coming in to my wiper motor assembly. So now all I got to do is just turn it on and take a reading. Now, these do work. But I do want to show you something. And if you notice, like get it off of intermittent. Come on. There it is. And if you notice, it's actually going above battery voltage right now, because this thing is actually producing some AC when it wipes back and forth. Remember from the presentation, we talked about using the CEMF, the counter electromotive force, the AC coming out of the motor, to help control speed. Usually that's where it produces the most. So we can see it jumping up. If I take it up high, you can see it's actually even higher. Get it? Now, let's say that I didn't have voltage there and it wasn't working. Well, okay. We go back to the schematic again and we look at the schematic. Well, how does it get to this motor? Well, if we look at this motor, it just goes into this battery junction box. This relay is controlled by high-low wiper switch. This is my high and low speed. It's controlled by my gem, my BCM. Gem is the Ford BCM-like thing. And that's controlled by this crazy switch. Now, if I think it's a faulty switch, it's causing low not to work or causing anything not to work, intermittent wipers don't work or something else, if we look at this switch, it's a resistor network. If you can remember, we talked about this from our first presentation on wipers. So how do I go about testing these? Well, honestly, that's not that complicated. They do this to reduce the amount of wires that need to travel up the column and go to the switch. So instead of having a connection for each one of these wires, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, we can get away with 3. We can get away with this pink and yellow, this gray and red, and this light blue and orange. So this light blue and orange is for intermittent, the intermittent wiper, and the washer. And then the other one, this pink and yellow, is for interval, low, and high. So if we were to look at this, we could, if I just jump this pink and yellow to this gray and red, well, that would just give me high. If I were just to jump this blue and orange to this gray and red, well, that would give me washer. But could I get to the rest of these? Well, yeah, absolutely. And here's how. How you doing? Okay, so let's say my wiper doesn't work and I got no voltage there. I'm going to check the obvious, the common, issues that happen. I'm going to check and see if it's a blown fuse or something. But, let's say I want to test the switch. Now, I could get in there and I could do stuff with the switch. I could check for resistance across the switch. But, hell, I'm lazy. So there is an easier way to check the switch. And really all I got to do is just plug into the diagnostic port. I have a fairly decent scanner. I can get into that switch and see it. Now, on this particular truck, it's under the GEM module because that's where it goes to, is the, GEM module. So I can actually get in there and I scroll through some data points and I find the switch. And here's basically what it looks like. Here, let me see if I can get you in here. There it is. See if I can not stay steady. So here's my wiper control, and right now I have it on high speed, and I, turn it down to low speed. You can see it goes to low speed, or I turn it to intermittent. It goes to intermittent. I turn it to off. Goes to off. I can check the washer pump switch as well, because that one's up here, washer pump switch, and I can command it to be on. See, there it is, active. So I don't need to get to the switch in order to test the switch. I can, it still could be a broken wire or something. I'm going to show you how to, run a couple of simple tests down at the switch as well. We good? This is take 2. Okay, so let's say I didn't have voltage out at the wiper motor and I wanted to test the switch, and I come in and I check it with the scan tool, and scan tool tells me that something isn't working. Well, I can go down and I can just replace the switch at that point, but I would like to test it just to be sure. I can check and see exactly what the switch is doing, and it's quite simple. Here, come with me. I'm going handheld. Inside here, I have this gray plug right here. That guy has the 3 wires in it from the switch, and they are the pink and yellow, gray and red, and the light blue and orange. So I'm actually going to measure those. They're all right here. Now the gray and red is my common between the 2 switches that are inside the wiper switch. So I'm going to back probe that guy. Then I'm going to go first to the blue and orange, being very careful not to short them out together. See, got them buried inside there. Back probing is the way to go. And then I have my meter hooked up. Got it set on DC voltage. And all I got to do is just turn this bad boy on. Oopsie. So there's off, and you can see I got 3 volts. That tells the computer that the switch is in the off position. There's my intermittent. There's my low speed, which doesn't do anything. But I'm on the intermittent side of the switch, and you can see it walks through the voltage with every click I give it. So if one of these switches in here was bad, it would go to 0 volts, or it would go to 5 volts. Sorry, it would go to 5 volts. We okay? So I want to check the other switch. I got to get on the pink and yellow. That's this guy. Off. I got 2.7 volts. Walk up, go to, that's low. That's high. High slams the 2 right together because I'm doing a voltage drop across them. Okay, and then there's my washer. So it is entirely possible to check the switch with just a simple meter. You just got to know what you're doing. It's pretty simple, right?